nobody at that point, up until that point, had ever one time talked to me about what am I eating? Nobody had talked to me about the importance of, the quality of foods that I'm eating.
Michigan Family Wellness, Episode 3.
Here at Michigan Family Wellness, we believe chiropractic care and nutritional-based therapies are a foundational part of a healthy family lifestyle. No matter where you're at in the mitten, having a family is such an exciting time of life. So instead of feeling overwhelmed by stress, fatigue, and responsibilities with the kids, we invite you to become part of this empowering community to create happy, healthy families. By providing engaging interviews and practical applications, Dr. Wallner cultivates family health by equipping our listeners with the tools they need to elevate wellness in their own family. Dr. Wallner passionately serves the Michigan community at his chiropractic and nutrition-based practice, where he specializes in pregnancy, pediatrics, and family wellness care. And now, here's your host, Dr. Kyle Wallner.
All right, good day everyone, and welcome to Michigan Family Wellness. I am your host, Dr. Wallner, and I feel like I say this about every episode, but for everyone in Michigan, and especially those listening on the west side of the state, we've got an awesome episode for you today. My guest is Melissa Malinowski. She is a naturopath and holistic real food nutritional consultant with a thriving naturopathic practice in Grand Rapids, Michigan. She is also a chapter leader of her local Dr. Weston A. Price Foundation, the organizer of the West Michigan Paleo Primal Meetup Group, and an avid blogger, empowering others on how to use food as medicine. Melissa specializes in bioenergetic assessments for people of all ages, babies to teens to adults. She uncovers root causes, issues such as hidden dental infections, gut microbiome imbalance, hormone imbalance, parasites, heavy metals, chemical toxicity, bacteria, viruses, candida, molds, emotional stressors, food allergies, and so much more. Then she rebalances and helps to clear those stressors. Melissa believes that when your health is optimal and you're thriving to become a better version of yourself and therefore have the ability to contribute more to the rest of the world around you. Like I said, everyone, I am really excited for this interview. Melissa has got some awesome practical applications and so much content to equip you with to really meet those optimal health and wellness goals. So let's dive in. All right, everyone. Today we have Melissa Malinowski on the show today. Melissa, I just spent a few minutes telling our guests about you as the professional. Can you tell us a little bit about you as the person?
Sure. I actually had a wonderful childhood. I was born and raised in a small little town, Walker, Michigan. It's just outside of Grand Rapids. And I lived on a 1-acre beautiful country land with my mom and dad and younger brother, and we had lots of cats and dogs. And
Nice.
we were a really tight-knit family, which also included both sets of our grandparents. So family's always been, really foundational for me.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, I always had a passion for nature and animals and helping others, and eating fresh organic food that we picked from, our garden and our neighbor's garden and fruit trees. So
Awesome.
just a really great childhood.
So, Melissa, MFW listeners are smitten with the mitten. That's one thing we like to say here. Do you have a favorite place in Michigan, a lighthouse, a trail, and maybe tell us why?
Absolutely. So my favorite place, or I should say places in Michigan, for sure would be Torch Lake and Sleepy Bear Dunes.
Mm-hmm.
And really just any of the kind of the cozy, quaint places in northern Michigan, Ellsworth and East Jordan, Bel Air, Elk Rapids, and Traverse City. I love those cities.
Gotcha. Yeah, so honestly, a big part of the podcast here on Michigan Family Wellness is family. Now, I know you told us a little bit about your family growing up, but I guess today, what does family mean to you? Or perhaps when you hear the word family, what comes to mind?
So family to me means surrounding yourself with those who encourage you and support you to really just kind of be your authentic self through all of life's ups and downs, right? Because we're gonna have those. And family can be your chosen family as well. And I think animals are, to me anyways, are so important in when it comes to our family as well. But it's a really strong word, and to me it just means those who are there who you can count on, and you can grow individually and you can grow together,
right,
without trying to change each other. I think that's a good support system. That's really imperative.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback on that thought, in terms of, the most important aspects, in your opinion, that you believe cultivate wellness in a family, can you tell us a little bit about, what you really look for, and maybe dive deeper for our listeners and give them some insight?
Sure, that's a great question. Okay, so first, I believe, in many ways, what I've seen clinically for 12 years now is we tend to not cultivate enough self-love. And I think we have kind of a self-love deficiency, if you will. And we've just kind of been led to think in our society that loving ourselves is selfish. And as a result, many times, we're so busy with taking care of the kids and, all the different events and things going on that sometimes we don't put attention on ourselves and our own choices to make the best outcome for ourselves. So,
right.
Yeah. So, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't be serving others and focused on others too, because I think that's very important, but really can't focus on others until we nurture and support ourselves. So I would say that's one aspect, because what do we hear when we're on a plane, right? And they give us the oxygen mask instructions.
Right.
We need to use it on ourselves first so that we can take care of our kids and everybody else. So.
Yeah, that's so huge too. I mean, especially being a practitioner, a holistic health expert and a professional, I'm sure that you take, that you practice what you preach, I remember meeting you out in Grand Rapids, and it just seemed like you really live and breathe all this wellness and health and prevention. And, if you're telling a patient or someone to do something, I can trust that you're doing it yourself and you're eating healthy and exercising and all of that. So that's wonderful.
No, I think that's a great point, and thank you for that compliment. And you literally do need to walk the walk and talk the talk, I think, for others to, respect you and to have that credibility. And, I do have a home office as well. And so my clients do come to my home. So there's no sugarcoating or hiding anything. And they're welcome to, walk into my kitchen and open up my cupboards and my refrigerator and see what I do, because everything I recommend, to them is exactly what I'm, like you said, I'm living this every day. So that's a great point.
Yeah. Wow. That's so huge. I love what you were just saying there about, the people you work with being able to see and kind of look into your life and, actually touch and feel like that you're doing what you want them to do to improve their life and their health. I just think that speaks volumes for, the credibility and the significance of, your message and what you're trying to communicate into that community. Are there any other aspects that you wanted to touch on in terms of cultivating wellness in the family?
Sure. I think getting back to the basics of ancestral and inherent wisdom, and just going back to the basics and eating real food. I call this built-in health insurance.
Nice. So kind of, just for our listeners, like unpack that for us in terms of what you mean by built-in health insurance.
Yeah. Okay. So, just going back to eating real food, and I have tons of articles on my blog if, anyone's kind of new into transitioning into the real food lifestyle. So I really walk, people through step by step. But basically, it's just going back to the basics of real food nutrition, unprocessed, non-modified food as close to their natural state as possible. And we're really focusing on nutrient density. So, the bulk of the diet should be, grass-fed proteins and nuts and seeds and colorful and leafy vegetables and lots of really good healthy fats and those types of things. So I'm really kind of taking the food pyramid and turning it upside down.
Yeah, that's been around for a long time, that classic, nostalgic, if you will, food pyramid. And yeah, I've heard a lot of the same things, people turning it upside down and completely rethinking what the status quo of, diet and nutrition has been, at least here in America, for the past 30, 40, 50 years. Well, awesome. So let's kind of move on. You were starting to get into, some of the things that you work with people on in terms of, whole food and nutrition, and back to some of those old school techniques. Real quick, again, for our listeners, can you tell us about your expertise? As I mentioned earlier, you're a naturopath. You practice in Grand Rapids. Tell us a little bit about your unique perspective.
Sure. So I'm a certified naturopath, and I'm a holistic real food nutritional consultant. And I've been in practice for 12 years now. And I'm also a chapter leader of my local Dr. Weston A. Price Foundation.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, great concepts. Just, going back to real food. And I'm also the organizer of the West Michigan Paleo Primal group on Meetup. And then I'm an avid blogger. So I empower others on how to use food as medicine. And again, if you're not a client, you can just hop on my blog, and I've written tons of articles on, different health issues, a lot of things that I've struggled with, that I've healed my own body, and also working with my clients. And again, on my blog, it's all free. And so it's just lots of really great information, really quick at your fingertips. And I find that that's really helpful. So in my practice, I specialize in what's called bioenergetic assessments. So I work with folks of all ages, so babies to teens to adults. And the goal is to really go in and uncover root cause issues. And I kind of say, we're going to kind of unzip your body, open things up, and look at all of the imbalances from conception until now, clear those stressors, and then zip you back up.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so doing that, I'm really looking at hidden infections, because we've all had infections at some point, including, perhaps dental infections. That's a big one. But the gut microbiome, that's really kind of my specialty, because whether you have, dry skin to, diabetes to even perhaps cancer, there's always going to be some strong connection in your gut microbiome. So looking at that and correcting that imbalance is so critical. But hormones, parasites, heavy metals, chemical toxicity, bacteria, viruses, food allergies, that's a really big one. And then functionally, I help to rebalance and clear those stressors off the body. And I have a great testimonials page if anyone's interested. And it's kind of nice to read other people's success stories and just kind of see how their life has changed.
I just really appreciate everything you're saying here, Melissa. As I'm listening, it just sounds like you really go up to that 10,000 foot level, and not only are you looking at the whole person in terms of several different components and all the different ways you can look at someone and evaluate someone. You were talking about, hidden infections and chronicity and all of this, but you're also looking at, everything that's happened to them, like you said, from conception till now. And I don't hear a whole lot of docs doing that. And it's just so encouraging to hear that, that's in your mind, that's in your headspace. And I believe that serves your clients that much more. Awesome. I love how you mentioned you have your blog up on the website and running. Real quick for our listeners, can you give them some insight into your inspiration for what you do today? I know you talked about your story and some of the health challenges that you went through in the past. Can you shed some light on that for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So my health journey, which has actually brought me to where I'm at today, When I was just a few weeks old, I became quite ill and developed bronchitis
Mm-hmm.
and, was given medications to suppress the infection. And within about 1 year, I developed pink eye and had a couple more episodes of bronchitis and spent quite a bit of time in the hospital and had some other infections, just by the age of 2 and 4. I had a lot of dental issues and just really kind of struggled throughout my childhood with different infections, such as strep and lots of different colds and flus. And when I was in my 20s, my early 20s, I had another reoccurring, lung bronchitis pneumonia type of infection, and nothing was getting me better. And I literally had my will sitting on my table at that
Oh
point.
my goodness.
Yeah, it was a pretty low point. And
So when you say that, nothing was helping, just to, check in real quick, were you doing like standard medical treatments or being evaluated by, the
yes, that's
medical
a great.
community?
Yeah, so when I say nothing was working, I was kind of doing what everybody was doing back then, and that's just the conventional, medications and prescriptions and antibiotics and those types of things, and nothing was getting better. Nobody at that point, up until that point, had ever one time talked to me about what am I eating.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody had talked to me about the importance of, the quality of foods that I'm eating. So at that point, when I was very, very sick, a friend introduced me to a local biomeridian practitioner, and she ran an energetic assessment on me, and I really didn't even know what that meant, but I thought, when you've got your will sitting on your table, I mean, what do you have to lose at that point? So
Right.
it turns out, yeah, that all the quote unquote foods I was eating, they were making and keeping me sick, and
Wow.
that was 20 years ago. And so it was very transformative for me in my life. And so not only did I clean up my diet and my lifestyle, but I got miraculously better within a week or so. And from there, obviously my whole life changed. She literally gave me my life back.
Wow.
And so, yeah, from there I went on to receive my naturopathy degree and, do the biomeridian technology, use the biomeridian technology for myself and for my clients. So I feel that, I was so blessed to have had that intervention in my life. And unfortunately, my mom and my dad were not so blessed
Mm-hmm.
because they became statistics due to the, I consider it really bad advice from the conventional medical community, and they passed away at a very young age. And so talk about fuel for a daughter.
Right.
That was my driving force to get my hands on as much research and learn and study and
Mm-hmm.
clinically see what therapies, just going back to the basics of what I can do to heal the body and help others, because it was a very, very difficult, emotional and physical challenging time for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
just would never want anyone else to go through that struggle. And so I think that's kind of, at the heart of my mission and my drive of what I do every day.
Yeah, wow, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. I know that takes some vulnerability and some courage there. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree in terms of, well, first of all, I think many people can identify with, the foods that they're eating, not serving them. And like you were saying, making them sick. I love the saying that some of the most powerful medicine in the world is what you put on the end of your fork, you know?
Absolutely. Let food be your medicine.
Yeah.
So I believe that when your health is optimal and you're thriving, you become the very best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you have the ability to contribute more to the rest of the world around you. I'm a big advocate as far as different causes in the world. We have so many, whether it's humanitarian causes or, looking at our planet or animals, those types of things. And when you feel your best and you're vibrant, your health is amazing, you have more energy to help create the positive changes in this world and do the work that you need to do. And so that's
Right.
really kind of it's such a blessing to be able to do what I do every day. And while I love giving people their health back,
Mm-hmm.
at the core, it's really kind of just creating, I think, these incremental changes to just do better and just create a better world. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of why.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that you're doing all of this, from what I understand, without drugs and without surgery. I mean, without pharmaceuticals is what I mean. Just for our listeners, can you tell them a little bit about, your techniques as a naturopath, what tools you use, along with the dietary and nutritional recommendations you do? Are you using supplements? Are you using just whatever you're using?
Sure. Well, initially, when clients come in, we spend quite a bit of time going over their health history because, um, your constitution says so much about what's happening. So, how
Mm-hmm.
you were birthed and, from basically womb health until now,
Mm-hmm.
and really dialing in because everybody's goals are different. And I really, pride myself on meeting my clients where they're at. And everybody is unique based on, some people might be sitting in an office all day. Some people might, I have a lot of pilots I work with, so obviously they're not sitting in an office.
Yeah, yeah.
Just perhaps nurses, they're on their feet all day. So I really just kind of dial in and see where they are at. And then we head on over and do testing on what's called biomeridian.
Mm-hmm.
And it's energetic assessments, very, very effective. They're non-invasive, so it takes me just a few minutes. And what I do is I run energetic assessments. So it's very similar to an EKG, but you're much
Okay.
more than just a heart. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's looking at that electrical conductivity of all the different organs, cells, and glands and tissues. And so it's just such a fantastic screening tool to see where people are at. And from there, I do the second part of my testing, which is it's a little bit deeper, and that looks at about 100,000 different potential stressors. And so we're able to look at allergies and molds and foods and colors and emotions and body parts. And then we're assessing, how much of a stress that is on your body. And again, it's from conception until now. So that's nice. It's not just right today, but it's looking at your whole entire lifetime. And then I'm able to record the body's reaction to that particular stress because everything has vibrational frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just takes 4 minutes when we're all done with that to then what I call rebalance. So I'm taking that signal and sending it back through the body, and it teaches the body to respond within normal parameters. And moving forward, my goal working with clients is to really focus on getting the body, retraining the body, I should say, to primarily be in parasympathetic dominance, because
Gotcha.
that's when the body is able to heal. And in 2016 we have all this political stuff going on, and we have the bills and finances and events, and we're busy, and so it's like we're being chased by the bear every day.
Mm-hmm.
And the body just can't heal. So again, all of this is looking at what your stressors are and then retraining the body to just be in that parasympathetic mode, so we're nice and calm. And when we need to be in fight or flight, we can do that, but not to be engaged just about every day, which is what I'm finding folks are.
Right, right. Yeah, Melissa, that's just so great. I know you've really kind of addressed a lot of the other things I wanted to ask you, but again, in terms of your core values, or your mission statement, can you provide any insights for our listeners in that area?
Sure. So my philosophy provides clients with, I like to give them tools to create happier, healthier lives, in a way that's flexible. Because, right, if it's not flexible, we just probably won't do it. And it's fun and it's free of willpower and denial. And, emotional happiness and well-being come from living in a vibrant body, like I had mentioned. So when your nutrition changes for the better, your biochemistry improves. And as a result, your mood improves, your energy levels and outlook on life improve. And how wonderful is that when we're the busy mom and dad and we're taking care of the kids and we have all these different, events and different things going on. If we're in a good place, we can be present, we can be in the moment, and we can feel our best. So I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
And my practice focuses on the concepts of functional nutrition, like we talked about, and functional clearing and rebalancing. And I'm always looking to find the root cause of illness and to help heal that first in lieu of just addressing individual symptoms. And this way, the body's own healing process works most effectively and efficiently.
I love it, Melissa. It's just so great. I'm learning so much too in terms of naturopathic techniques. Can you tell our listeners more about your practice in Grand Rapids, where you're located and how they can get more in touch with you in that regard?
Sure. So I'm on the northeast side of Grand Rapids. I do have a home office, and typically once clients submit their health history form, then I send over all the pre-appointment instructions and the address and things like that. But if they're able to, visit my website, which is integrativenutritionaltherapies.com, and if they scroll down just a smidge, there's a button for health history form, so they can just click on that button and submit the form. It's really easy, and that really kind of gets things in motion.
Great. Awesome. Well, Melissa, another value that we have here on the podcast is honestly practical applications. So as we round up our conversation today, what would you say are your top practical applications for how the MFW listeners can foster and cultivate wellness in their family?
Great question. I would say, number one, to have an open, clear, and honest communication with not only yourself, but your family members. So communicating and talking, that's automatically going to kind of set you in that, direction of health and wellness. Number two, I would say encouraging others to do what feels good, such as listening to their body, eating nourishing foods, getting enough sleep, getting to bed early, surrounding yourself with people who are fun and supportive and engaging. And number three, I think is so important in this day and age, is to do your own research so that you can be the best doctor in your own body for yourself and family. Yeah.
That's huge. Well, great, Melissa. I'm so thankful for you being on the show today. And really, like I said earlier, I remember meeting you a little bit ago in Grand Rapids at that seminar. For anyone who's listening, anywhere in Michigan, but specifically on that west side of Michigan, get in touch with Melissa here, especially if you've had any kind of chronic health condition. We're going to be linking to everything that we've talked about in terms of the website. Melissa, I believe you're on social media too. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it just Facebook, or are you on any other platforms? Or
I'm on Facebook, and it would be my practice name. So it would be /Integrative Nutritional Therapies. And I'm on Pinterest and LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. And in terms of, just real quick, one last thing. You had mentioned, people being their own advocate and doing their own research. My question for you is, other than this podcast, other than listening to things like Michigan Family Wellness, where would you direct people for really good information? Perhaps maybe the Weston A. Price website?
Yes, absolutely. Definitely the Weston A. Price website, and they have a wonderful blog, and you can find out where your local group is, and if you can attend the meetings, I highly encourage that, because as far as in West Michigan, we bring in some amazing speakers.
Yeah.
And, anything to do with functional nutrition and, real food blogs and podcasts. But I actually have a couple pages on my blog, and I have my free podcast. Well, they're free podcasts, but they're my favorite folks who, are into real food. So that would just be integrativenutritionaltherapies.com/resources/podcast. I did put together a healthy living products guide and shopping list.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I get a lot of questions, from clients and family and friends and readers on products that I use and buy. So I created a page, and it's all of my favorite high quality products and different things like that. But I have superfoods and herbal teas, real food snacks, supplements, books, detox tools, and even healthy living for pets. So that would be integrativenutritionaltherapies.com/products.
Fantastic. Well, as I'm sure everyone can appreciate, Melissa here has plenty of content to really start those gears turning in terms of changing your life for the better, those baby step changes that are needed to really make some significant improvement over time. So, Melissa, I want to thank you for being on the podcast today. You have brought it with all of the content and the value, and honestly, those practical applications I think our listeners are going to really appreciate.
Well, you're welcome. Before we wrap up, I do have 2 free gifts for listeners and followers. I have a toxicity questionnaire that comes along with a free e-guide, which is 10 steps to detoxification. And I have another e-guide, which is 10 simple steps to pre-tox, weight loss, and balanced hormones. So they will receive those as a subscriber of my newsletter, and they can find those 2 free gifts at integrativenutritionaltherapies.com/free-downloads. So free-downloads.
Ladies and gentlemen, her name is Melissa Malinowski. She's a naturopath out in Grand Rapids, Michigan. As I love to say here on Michigan Family Wellness, we can do far more together than we could ever do apart. Thanks again so much, Melissa, for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Dr. Kyle. It's been a pleasure.
Coming to you from beautiful Southeast Michigan, I'm your host, Dr. Wallner, and this is Michigan Family Wellness.
Now that you've been equipped with the latest in family wellness solutions, we want to encourage you to apply these strategies right away. But the thing is, there's still so much to learn. Connect with Dr. Wallner's chiropractic and nutrition office by going to MichiganFamilyWellness.com and click the newsletter sign-up button to join the informative and supportive community of chiropractic wellness. You'll also receive as a gift from Dr. Wallner a copy of Michigan Family Wellness Solutions, an invaluable resource containing dynamic tools to elevate family health and vitality. Michigan Family Wellness wants to thank you for being part of today's podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and give us a 5-star rating and review.